Alright gamers, this is the data mining video. I'm going to mine your data right now because I'm actually curious about something. So we all talk about not wanting to use big tech, right? That's one reason to use Linux, right? Even though we could get into how IBM controls a lot of these projects, Red Hat, that kind of thing. So there is a big tech company, and there's a lot of big tech companies that make our technology we use. Which is why I had a very small disagreement. I didn't continue it though, but there was a guy on that I follow on Mastodon, and he said, what did he say? Oh yeah, it's he disagreed with the meme about Linus versus Stallman and dogmatism versus pragmatism. It was kind of a metaphor, but the idea was, do you like Linux or do you like GNU? And so I said my contention is that you really can't have one without the other. You technically can, if you go really hard and you like use Alpine with BusyBox and fucking you just avoid everything that is GNU related. Even though your compiler, you might need GNU for your compiler. So, but they do more than just core utils. The FSF is actually involved in a lot of different things, or GNU themselves. Not just the license. And so he said I was wrong because the FSF doesn't necessarily endorse all free software. In fact, and I knew this, that there were a lot of licenses like the BSD license, the MIT license, which are permissive licenses, but the FSF considers them free software licenses, but they are not endorsed by the FSF. So I treat free software, when I say free software, I am talking about things that are aligned with the FSF's values. And that's why I'm a bit more critical of free software than most people, is because I am critical myself of the FSF and what they have done, you know, especially recently. You can go see Linus talking about the GPL v3 if you want the brief history about that, because I found myself agreeing with him as I learned more about it and what it had done to, especially like corporations. So I have a very corporate friendly mindset towards Linux. I find that their influence is generally helpful, so I find myself more on Linus' side than on Stallman's side, because I've seen what the FSF was able to produce, and I've seen what GNU has produced, and I'm not super satisfied with that as like a daily driver. If I were to do that, I'd probably run Geeks on a 10-year-old ThinkPad that I get from Vikings or something. I don't know. I do have one device that is Linux Libre compatible, and it is a Linux first device. So if you ever need yourself a Linux laptop, check out Star Labs. That's my shill video. That's my shill post for today, is go check out Star Labs. But anyways, that was a long fucking tangent. Holy shit. So basically, like, there's a free software mindset and there is a corporate mindset, and Muscle LLVM is the corporate mindset. If you prefer that to glibc, you are basically a corpo for all intents and purposes. So that's what I'm calling myself. I'm calling myself a corpo. Uh, but the reason I say I'm data mining today is because this mindset also goes into browsers. You know, do you want to use Chromium, or what was Firefox's engine called? It's not Unity, is it? I know Unity is a game engine. I can't remember what they're. It's not Gecko anymore. I think it is called Unity now. And then I think they're working on Servo as a like Rust replacement. I think for Unity, whatever the fuck their engine is, Firefox or Chromium. We're just gonna call it that. That'll make it easier in case you also don't know what their engine is. So you have people that will use, and I use Firefox because it fucking shipped with my computer. I don't give a fuck. I've got a Firefox account. I sync their services. I like it. It's cool. But every now and then I am reminded by Mozilla that I could be using a Chromium browser. As I am, again, corporate, I do not mind using free software if it is made by corporations. So Chromium is not a problem for me. The part I don't like is that Chromium is the de facto standard, and web developers themselves do not like supporting Firefox. There's a lot of reasons for this. One of them is Firefox, like Mozilla supports the XP version of Firefox technically in a ESR. So there, if you support Firefox, you got to support Firefox for Windows 7, and you got to support Firefox for Windows XP, and that's not cool. So but there's also just having to support two engines which have different rendering technology, and there's going to be bugs specific to Chromium. There's going to be bugs specific to Firefox. So it's where do you want to be? Because you can be like I say, where if you switch to Linux, you're going to make sacrifices. So, do you want to make the sacrifices and be on Mozilla's browser, or do you not care and just want to have a privacy-focused Chromium fork I don't know, like Brave? I guess that's the only real example I can think of a truly private Chromium fork, although people have their own issues with Brave. My issues are different from theirs, but what I found out today, and the thing that was holding me to Firefox, is Google had banned ad nauseum from their web store. Now, if you've ever used ad nauseum, basically what it does is it's a UBO fork, like uBlock Origin, and what it does is it will still block the ad, but what it's going to do is it's going to take that HTTPS request and it's going to send a click for you. And what that does is it has two benefits. The first one is advertisers will get a fake click, and Google's is supposed to refund the advertiser based on how many fake clicks they got. I don't know what's happened. Sometimes you have to get clawback on your website, but it's not usually worth it. So, kind of a double edged sword. You can fuck over companies using it, but you can also get them a small refund for blocking their ads. So, yeah. It refunds the advertisers though, not the website, and it comes from Google, not the website. But the other thing, so Google had banned that add-on, that extension, and Firefox still allows it and even has it in their recommended, I believe. But it still gets updates. It's still around. But on their website, they recommended switching to either Brave or Firefox for a privacy-focused browser. And this is kind of where this is where the data mining comes in, kind of what I'm getting around to is if you use Firefox, is it because you don't like big tech and you want to avoid them? And if so, I want to ask what kind of websites you visit. Because, for example, I use an Android phone. Once Linux phones get more mainstream and they're good, and I might even get a Jollophone running Sailfish or something, I'm actually very interested in Linux devices, especially for cell phones, because I do want to reduce my dependency on Google and Android. I would like in the future to run a Linux phone as my daily driver. That would be really cool for me. But right now I use Android. And so I'm like, okay, so I have a dependence on Google. I'm using their account. I use Google as my backup email. I am going to slowly move over to Tutanova, as my backup email and use Proton and Tuta. We'll see how that goes. I'm probably gonna have a Gmail for the near future, just because again I have a fucking YouTube channel. By the way, go watch me on PeerTube. I know I don't have any audience on PeerTube. I don't care because the people that matter, um, the people that I care about on PeerTube will watch me on PeerTube. And I like having the channel up for those people because that was a reason why I had a Rumble, was because I wanted to de-Google a bit and give people the option to interact with my channel off of Google. So I do offer a PeerTube. I could offer an Odyssey. I don't know if I want to. I don't. For some reason, their crypto shit's like really weird to me. It's not that I don't like crypto, but it's that I don't want to stake my videos. The system just feels kind of weird to me. It's not something I want to deal with. I don't want to just upload my shit and leave it there, you know? So PeerTube has been the best alternative so far. I may open up an Odyssey. I really just wish they get rid of library and do their own hosting or whatever the fuck they need to do. But what kind of websites? Because like you'll see down on the bottom of my screen, I've got Twitch open in Firefox, and by the way, I just learned how to open it up in Streamlink so I can block ads and watch Twitch and MPV and use Chatterino as my chat room client. It's pretty cool. I don't like Twitch. I watch some people on Twitch. It's pretty cool, but I would rather YouTube had taken over instead of Amazon. I don't know. I don't know. That's a topic for another time. But I wanted to ask you though, if you're trying to escape big tech by using Firefox and using the sacrificial option, what kind of websites are you browsing? Because right now you're on YouTube. And which, by the way, you should totally be using an alternative front end. I don't because I'm lazy and I shouldn't be so lazy and I should be cool, but I also don't like fucking around with YouTube's bullshit. So I just use the website, but as we go forward, think about that to yourself. What websites do you use that are owned by whatever the fucking acronym is these days? Amazon, Google, Microsoft, all that shit. Ask yourself how dependent you are on their services. If you're not on Mastodon, follow me on Mastodon. That's not a big tech website. If you're, there's a lot of things you can do on the internet that aren't owned by these companies, but you'll start seeing that after the .com crash, if you look at the distribution of traffic to different websites, it's slowly consolidated into the top seven or whatever, top 100, whatever. You know. So think about that. Think about how mention down in the comments or whatever what kind of websites you use. If you're not into big tech websites, let me know. And if you're, because I do want an argument against using a Chromium browser, but I don't see a reason not to, honestly. Like, it's just better security, better compatibility, better speed than Firefox, and it can browse all the same websites. Still not going to track me because I'm using an alternative to Chrome, Google Chrome or whatever, Edge, whatever the spyware platforms all these days. You can get Chromium stripped down to, or even a privacy focused Chromium, you can get that. So let me know. This has been 12 minutes or so, 12 and a half minutes. I don't need to keep talking about this, but give me an argument for Firefox and kind of let me know if you've been kind of planning your big tech escape. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.